Oh man, this is weird. This is really weird. This is Liar's most experimental and ridiculous album yet. More unhinged than Mess, and maybe just more on the fringe of what Wixu was. So it might all come together as a bit of a loose cannon, but its ammunition is creatively built, it's eclectic, and somewhat eerie. Angus Andrew is the remaining member of Liars, which leads him to take the project into some really crazy territory and just bounce around all a little bit, pinging all these different weird sounds and textures and styles. The opening track, The Grand Delusional, has an unsettling trip-hop-ish kind of sound once the percussion kicks in, but most of the song revolves around this one looping acoustic guitar motif. It sounds wastelandish, and Andrew's dry, deadpan singing sounds like he's on the ground, crawling, desperately searching for water. Cliché Sweet continues the looped weirdness with another steady guitar motif, although this one sounds more like the music for when some sort of royal figure, like a king, enters a room and slowly marches towards his throne. I also love the subtle but clear-cut grooves on Staring at Zero and Cred Woes.
Push down on the caramel thoughts inside. Down to my minimum wage routine.
Although the mix is so spare and minimal a lot of times, it's kind of like there isn't really much else that you could be paying attention to. The most accessible sounding song, and even that's a stretch, is No Help Pamphlet.
Pieces of things that we can't figure out. Piles of clothes that we never wear. Maybe insane, but we never share the doubt.
The acoustic guitar strumming sounds folky, and as dry and timid as Andrew's vocals are, there is a genuine sense of humanity there. It's not so distant from reality, and it actually seems like the only voice of reason in an otherwise completely absurd album. The similar electronically tinged folk vibes pop through on Emblems of Another Story, and then Liars grab their love for twisting the sound of techno on Face to Face with My Face, which I must admit is kind of one of the more underdeveloped and formless tracks here. It's hard to even get an idea of what's going on, and not in the weird and eccentric kind of way. It's more like the, oh, what actually is going on here kind of way. I love the delayed layers of piano melodies all detached from one another on No Tree No Branch. Very upbeat and very frantic indeed.
Well, if you listen to it, hear that sound right there in my mind tonight.
And then the franticness only continues and increases even with Coins in My Caged Fist. Even Panicked. Emphasis on Panicked with the constant skips in its rhythm. The anxiety-inducing volatile bursts of noisy drones that comes in every couple of seconds is really unsettling, like it's a dangerous machine creature that's approaching you, getting closer and closer with each loop. And it gets weird because the album from then on doesn't really continue to build on this frantic, panicked idea, but instead cools things right back down with two purely dronier tracks. It's hard to really grasp this album's concept lyrically. It's really eerie and almost hopeless, but it's so out there and predictable. It's not as if the emotion you're meant to get out of this album is that easy to hone in on. It's not like it's a specific emotion. It's more like a series of, huh? What? Ah. I like to imagine it being an absurdist world of grotesque creatures, maybe like a David Firth short. And this record being a part of my albums I enjoyed repertoire adds another entry to the list of reasons people get concerned when they start a music-themed round in charades. I like exploring these unusual territories of music, but damn, you get a lot of weird looks for it. You'd think it'd give you the upper hand in a conversation about musical discussion and your favorite music you've been listening to recently, but it's tricky. Not that I don't take pride in the kind of music I listen to. I'm quite happy with my taste, but it's hard to kind of bring it up in conversation without trying to bring across that vibe that you're suddenly pretentious or better than anyone. Not that I try to radiate those vibes, but it just kind of seems to be this thing that people kind of associate you with. But at the same time, I want to introduce people like my friends to these really experimental kinds of musical works that are completely outside the comfort zone, yet are totally worth exploring because they're genuinely brilliant and textured and consistently captivating and just so deliciously bizarre. Was this a review or a therapy session? 7 out of 10.